You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Paid actor portrayal.
I didn't see it coming. Life can be so unpredictable. After losing my dad, it made me think about my family if something were to happen to me. The mortgage, car payments, and all the other bills. Even things like our annual summer vacation would be out of reach. I had heard about life insurance through Ethos and how easy it was to get coverage. They were right. I knew it was time to stop putting it off and get life insurance right now. I got on my computer and went to ethoslife.com. In just 10 minutes, I was covered. And boom, family protected. Thanks to Ethos, my family won't have to worry about the bills if the unpredictable happens to me.
Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethoslife.com/audio. That's ethoslife.com/audio.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
This should be an interesting one today because we've got a handful of people who are broken, who have come in here fundamentally broken. And we've got, not broken, a back row Smetty who's caffeinated up, fired up because her Steelers are in the playoffs again. Mm-hmm. Mike Ryan also has 3 days of silence and fired up about football, just generally NFL happy. But Chris Cody, just moments ago, took some of those cucumber strips off of his eyes, remembered to do it, and when Mike walked past him, said to him, "You've got something in your beard." He's wrecked. Billy and Stugotz just finished God Bless Football a couple of minutes ago, and I will tell you, I have the following information just from Stugotz walking into the room. He's like, "It is what it is. I couldn't get any thoughts together." That's how he was promoting God Bless Football.
A bad sell by you. People don't need to know that.
Terrible sell. You're right.
Jeez.
Yes,
Lucy's back. She's going to be talking to us, previewing the national championship game. Check it out.
Correct. And Billy's big board bets. 4-2 last night,
Boom,
by the
boom,
way.
boom.
Yes.
Boom, boom, boom.
You also stayed at the hotel last night.
Yeah.
And this will surprise no one. Brushed your teeth with your finger this morning.
And was the last to arrive and had everyone waiting for him.
I was waiting on a toothbrush. I forgot a toothbrush, so I started to brush with my finger. It wasn't going well. I called down to the lobby, asked them to bring up a toothbrush. They brought one up, but it took like 10 minutes. I mean, it's not their fault. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying it took like 10 minutes. By the time I realized that's why I was late, I apologize. But Billy is right. I was steps away from the studio, and I was the last one of us to get here. I'm sorry.
I found out today, Dan, he's only used the elevators in this building 2 times, and we've been here like 7 months now at this point.
Well, he's the only one who stayed here, though. He stayed here a few times.
This is my second time staying here.
And that's the only reason or the times that you have used the elevators?
There are other reasons? I mean,
yes. You've seen how glorious the gym is here.
But I park right outside the studio, and then I just get in the car. We have a gym?
It's 2 stories. It's a giant gym. It's beautiful.
Really?
Yes, it's one of the signature items here at the Elser.
They got an ab roller?
Residences. They've got a Body by Jake, yes. Correct me if I'm wrong, because we were in the middle of it last night. We will play a snippet of Stugotz giving hot takes while being mashed. Thank you to everybody who participated in the draft party. It was a lot of fun. The watch party. Except for the fact that it feels like the Dolphins' season ended at the end of the night. And I want to see if I have this wrong. Because Chris Cody, the team I saw yesterday, cannot go on the road to Kansas City, to Buffalo, to Baltimore. That's not a manageable slalom course. The season's over. Unless some of those big teams lose, and you don't have to go through Kansas City, Buffalo, and Baltimore. And at the end of the game, you're throwing into double coverage to chase Claypool. At the end of the game, there were 3 times this season, Stugotz, where the Dolphins had a 1-score game with the ball for the final time. This doesn't count the Dallas game because Dallas had, with whatever time remaining, Dallas did have some time left at the end of the game, though very little, not very much.
Mm-hmm.
But 3 times, the Dolphins had the ball with a chance to win the game, and all 3 times they didn't score any points.
Right.
And that's how they go from 2 to 6. Somehow Buffalo yesterday could have gone at the beginning of the day. Buffalo could have been 8. They could have been out of the playoffs. Instead, they're the 2 seed by winning that game.
Yeah.
And you lose to Josh Allen twice this season. You feel good about your chances to beat, even if you get past Kansas City. Do you feel good about your chances? Now you got to go on the road and in the cold for the rest of the games. Like, I don't want to be somebody.
Well, depending on what happens here, but I mean, I don't want to say the season's over, Dan. What I will say is I could see the Dolphins beating the Chiefs this weekend.
Okay, and I can see anybody winning anything in a 1-game sample, but we can all agree, right? That slalom course of Buffalo, you're going to go on the road against teams that are better than you when you're injured and play in the cold? Like, in what world? In what world are you winning the 3 of those games?
And I know that I've been giving Dolphins fans some guff because of all the excuses that they've had, but last night you guys crossed the Van Ginkel threshold where Melvin Ingram started getting meaningful snaps.
Right.
So I think now you can use that excuse. You're too hurt.
You had a 3-game lead with 5 games remaining.
Their path to the Super Bowl is clearly difficult. Like, no one's going to argue with you
it's
that
impossible.
Yeah, like, I'm with you.
It's not that it's difficult. It's
Nothing's
impossible.
impossible.
I'm with Dan.
Stop that.
Obviously, it's like you guys want to do the game. Yes, it's possible, but it's not going to happen. But if we want to talk deeper than that, is this a good season for the Dolphins? And the answer all year has felt like yes, and it's no if they don't win in Kansas City.
Falsehoods. This is why this is a good season for the Dolphins, and you guys need to remember this right now. Tua led the league in passing yards. Tyreek Hill led the league in receiving yards. He was 1 shy of 1,800. It's the first Dolphin player to ever lead the league in receiving yards. Raheem Mostert led the NFL in rushing touchdowns, and he was tied for most touchdowns with Christian McCaffrey. Also, I have a reminder here to cancel the red zone, which I just did, which made me so happy. Also, Tua had the 3rd most passing yards in Dolphins team history this season. Now, there was the extra game that Dan Marino didn't have, but it was 3. You should be happy with this season, and it's not impossible to go to the Super Bowl, and I have marked that down, and if we are in Las Vegas and the Dolphins have to be playing in the Super Bowl, Chris Cody, I'm making a decision here on behalf of the company, will not be attending that game.
Dan said it first. I was just concurring with Dan.
He will not be buying the tickets himself. He will not be allowed to miss work on Monday.
My mom will be buying them.
No, you will not be allowed to miss work on Monday.
My mommy already said she's going if they make the Super Bowl, and she's buying me a ticket.
I'm calling your mom, and you're not going. You're not going. You're grounded. Chris is grounded. He's not going to the Super Bowl.
But seriously, can we talk about? All right, you want to talk about Tua? I wanted to save this conversation for after the season. But you saw Tua on that bootleg.
You ended the season.
You saw Tua on that bootleg last night. It was a successful 9-yard run, and it was the worst thing I saw all night.
Right.
That right there let me know. And then you see Josh Allen late in that game on like 3rd and 38, breaking 42 tackles and getting over the first down line. Like, these are 2 different quarterbacks. Like, you can talk accuracy all you want. Tua throws way too many interceptions. If you're going to run like Josh Allen, you can't throw interceptions. You know what I mean? Josh Allen throws interceptions, but at least he can run out of the ball.
Right.
Tua throws a lot of interceptions, can't run the ball at all.
Yes.
It's just there's a gap there with those quarterbacks.
You want him to be running at his size?
I want a quarterback that can do both.
I think in all of the stats that Billy mentioned, which were impressive, the one that was missing was Tua played all 18.
Yep.
And that was a huge deal entering this season.
Right.
A season in which they only beat one good team in the Dallas Cowboys, and they did so with field goals. And I guess it's inverted. The Bills are playing their best football at the right time, and the Dolphins seem to be playing their worst football at the worst possible time.
They are 1-5 against playoff teams. The Dolphins are this year. But Dan talks about this all the time. He says it almost every single week. Which team is going to be healthiest at the end? And the Dolphins got unhealthy really, really quickly.
On the bright side, the Dolphins are 3-0 in the postseason against Kansas City.
What decade
the
was
bad
those?
side of that is the last game was in 1994.
Chiefs are due.
And they also haven't beaten the Chiefs in 13 years.
And it hasn't been since Chad Pennington that you guys actually get to go into the playoffs with your starting quarterback.
I like the Dolphins this week. I'm just going to go on record and say it right now. The Chiefs have not looked overwhelming. Yeah, you could say the weather. I like the Dolphins. Dolphins and the Chiefs hung together.
I don't disagree that they can win that one game, but overall, like, we can have a discussion.
Listen,
about, like, this didn't go the way we wanted it to.
But Chris,
5 weeks ago, we were 10-3.
Chris, if they can win in Kansas City at Arrowhead, they can win anywhere.
Boom. They can win.
Not this year. What is that? That's not true.
Hold on a second. Are you?
How
guys
is it not true?
He's right about that. Are you guys saying that it is?
Congratulations, Las Vegas Raiders. You can win anywhere.
Are you guys saying that it's impossible for the Steelers to pull off an upset next week against the Bills? Because I could see that happening too. And then what happens? If that happens, if the Dolphins win
then
the Steelers play the Bills, then the Steelers have to go to Baltimore. And then what happens? Any given Sunday, Baltimore sometimes throws up on themselves in the playoffs, Dan. You
True.
can't say that that's not the case.
AFC Championship Smetty Bowl, Billy?
It's possible. I'm just saying it's possible. And if that happens, Chris is grounded, and he's not going.
The part that I disagreed with on possible, you can create those scenarios where the top teams are losing, and then the Dolphins can even have a home game within one of those scenarios. But I'm talking about having to go through Lamar Jackson on the road. You're going through Patrick Mahomes on the road, and you're going through Josh Allen on the road. You mentioned all of those stats, but I will go back to what I was saying about the end of games and the winning that's required from your star players at the end of games. In all three of those one-score games that I was talking about, Stugotz, against the Chiefs and others, where they have the ball and a chance, and the season felt like it ended last night on the decision to throw to Chase Claypool in a double team, that on all three of those drives, Tua and Tyreek Hill screwed something up. Your stars, instead of winning the games at the end, did the very opposite of that. And you talk about Josh Allen and the way that he runs. He gave you the game you need to have from him to beat them. He had 3 turnovers. He made 2 very bad decisions.
But he also made like half a dozen plays that no one else in the league can make.
Yeah,
he was 30 of 38.
You lost to a quarterback who turned the ball over 3 times, Stugotz. And if you look at what's happened to their offense since Ken Dorsey was fired, they are worse in every way except turnovers. And I don't think they've got the turnovers fixed. I don't think you can fix the turnovers with him. You can get lucky on occasion. But that's the game you need Josh Allen to play in order to beat them.
Correct, and the Dolphins got it last night.
I mean, you could have it be a worse game. I mean, their defense was injured, Stugotz. He could have thrown 5-yard passes for the entire night the same way that he did last year when they came here and lost. He could have completed 30 of 38 of 5-yard passes, but he was throwing the ball down the field. He was running. He turned the ball over 3 times. All you need is your quarterback not to. You didn't even need Tua. They could have won that game last night without Tua throwing over 200 yards. They could have won that game last night with Tua just being game manager. But Tua also turned the ball over. Tua and Josh Allen produced as many touchdowns as each other in that game for all the yardage that Josh Allen had. Buffalo won because they got a special teams touchdown.
Right.
But
Allen had 2 touchdown passes. Tua had 1.
Understood. But what I'm saying is the Dolphins had 14 points in touchdowns from their offense. The Bills had 14 points in touchdowns
special teams
from their offense. All you need Tua to do in that circumstance to beat Josh Allen is not turn the ball over. Or at the end of the game, just go tie it at the end. But instead, he gave you the turnover at the end.
When the ball bounces off Van Ginkel's helmet and ends in an insane touchdown catch, it's just not your night, I feel like, right? Like, we could all just agree it just wasn't the Dolphins' night.
How happy were you, Jessica? Because I believe that the Dolphin season has been giving you gifts this last month, that this has been a wonderful holiday December for you that began with the watch party where you witnessed. All of this was avoidable. All you had to do was hold on to a lead with that damn Vrabel. But you can't do it.
That game ended up mattering. Like, it mattered. They needed to win that game.
They all matter.
They all matter, but that one definitely mattered. They had a 2-score lead late in the fourth quarter, Stugotz. I just think, like, from my standpoint of I I wrote off a lot of teams midway through the season. We'll get to my top 5.
Let's do it right now.
No, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Top 5 teams you wrote off?
Yes, that are in the
wow.
playoffs.
Wow.
It's a good list.
Yes.
But I'm not ready. One of those teams is the Steelers. And now they're the 7th seed, and the Dolphins are only the 6th seed. And you all have to root for the Steelers to win so that you don't have to play Baltimore if you somehow pull off a win.
So there's 4 others. We assume the Browns are probably one of those teams.
She's not ready.
She
yet.
wasn't ready
They
for
might
it.
not
though.
be.
It's her list, Billy.
The problem around here that often happens is that people want to get shots off, and then we say we'll get to it later, and very often we don't get to it later. For example, Chris Cody was desperate yesterday during the watch party. We had 3 hours of sprawling space.
The Buccaneers have to be on that
Have to
list.
be on the list.
Come on, the Bucs
And the Texans.
Oh wow!
Teams, what is the list? Is it teams you wrote off?
She's not ready yet.
I know she's not ready, but she knows what the list is. Thank you, Billy.
I want to guess it.
Teams you wrote off halfway through the season, is that what the list is? Or teams you
that are now in the playoffs.
that are now in the playoffs?
Folks, listen up. TurboTax makes all your moves count. And roughly 37% of taxpayers qualify to file 100% free with TurboTax Free Edition. Form 1040 and limited credits only. File 100% free max refund guaranteed. See if you qualify to file for free at TurboTax.com. See max refund guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Dan Batard.
Teammates can't shoot from 3. Now they're gonna see a different Jimmy. Now he's just playing Nickelback in the locker room, and
Stugotz.
they'll play D and shoot 3s as they chase the Nets for the 6th seed. These 5 words in his head scream, "Are we winning games yet?"
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Last night, Chris Cody wanted, in a 3.5 hour window, to get off what he thought was going to make be career-making sound. The coaching carousel that he says he has invented as a producer here at Meadowlark Media who wants to be climbing in the industry. He's got a coaching carousel sound. How has Mike felt about it as you try to show off your executive producer skills to Mike Ryan? How has this gone with the approval process?
I'm not sure how Mike feels about it. He's giving me a couple of noises. But the way I envision this, we start talking about coaching changes, we hit the music, and we all bounce like we're on a carousel. Huh? See what I'm doing right here? I mean, it's a lot better with the music, Mike.
All right, so if I bring up like Arthur Smith, for example, and how his...
Come on, everyone.
And so we should talk about Arthur Smith like this, how his Falcons' career ended with his last act being yelling at Dennis Allen for scoring too much against him.
This is hard to do.
Yeah. Did you hear Jameis Winston explain that thing away?
We've got great sound of Jameis Winston that we will get to momentarily, but you want to do this every time.
My quads.
Yeah.
Like so.
Lower back,
so
too.
should this be the sound with Belichick? Because Belichick. Oh, it gets louder with Belichick.
I have a hot take.
Feels like?
I have a hot take. Belichick's not going anywhere. It's all noise.
Well, but
He'll be back.
I have him going everywhere.
I could see him as a ticket taker for carousels.
you think so? I've got him
Yeah.
I've got him fixing some of the carnival rides. I think he's someone who's not a public-facing employee for the carnival. He's somebody who works in the shadows, has black grit on his hands.
Billy's horse isn't working.
Yeah, that every carousel has one.
Yeah.
You get on and you're like, "Ooh, I like that one. That
Yeah.
one's lightning." And then you sit down and you're like,
I'm in the sled.
"What is this?"
I'm just. You guys can be on the horses.
so
I'm just
comfy.
on the stationary sled.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Does every carousel have one horse that's not working?
And you don't know until it starts, too.
We already covered
worst
Arthur
part.
Smith.
Yeah, but we've got plenty to do here. Coaching carousel stuff, we've got plenty of ground that can be covered.
Ron Rivera.
So you just let the conversation take you where it will, and we'll just hit this music anytime you're playing the game.
Nice.
Okay, so at any time that we're playing the coaching carousel game, because Stugotz, all he wants to do is play the Belichick game
It's a fun game, Dano.
of what happens if Belichick calls your franchise today looking for a job.
Yep.
The ending yesterday, Stugotz, for Bill Belichick, if this is how it ends as the Patriots coach, I think his should be so loud that you can't even hear what I'm saying. Belichick finishing up Stugotz by losing to the New York Jets.
Yep.
And leaving the field in a way that suggested he didn't want to be seen by human beings. He was covering up his face. He did not want to be. I believe he knows, because he's so close to historic stuff, that he didn't want to be photographed by the New York tabloids running off the field after losing to the Jets and having his face be something that could be seen on the tabloids. I believe he comes from a time where he knows enough to just pull up. He wasn't cold. He just didn't want his face photographed on that field.
Unless it's a Ring video camera. Like, if it's a Ring video doorbell, they'll catch her.
It's smart, though. Would you not agree that Belichick First of all, Belichick wearing clothing that allows him to pull something over the entirety of his face.
Heady play. It is.
He doesn't want to be photographed leaving that field for the last time as a legend, possibly for the last time as Patriots coach, and give the newspaper photographers, old school newspaper photographers, he does not want to give them the ammunition of, you can see my face. So you get rock bottom being Bill Belichick hiding his face, ashamed to show his face leaving the field. What do you do with all of what's happening in New England when that guy's excellence can evaporate that quickly? Because it's that quickly, Stugotz.
I give the credit to Brady. That's what I do.
Okay, but you... Okay.
Dan, I'm not saying he's not a good head coach. I'm not even saying he's not a great head coach. He obviously is, okay? He's done more winning than just about any head coach in the history of the NFL. But the quarterback is the most important position in sports. And if you have a good quarterback, you will therefore be a great coach. If you don't have one of those guys, you're not going to be a good coach. It's that simple. For me, at least, it is that simple. Andy Reid became a great coach. He was always a good coach. He was a good coach in Philadelphia. He became great when he got Patrick Mahomes.
It's not that simple when you're winning in the margins and everyone has a great quarterback that you're playing against late in the season.
Why can't we apply the perspective that we'll probably have about this in like 5 years' time? I know we always want to rush to a take, but ironically enough, it was Tom Brady's view on his marriage with Giselle that kind of changed my perspective on these things, because when you get a divorce, people say your marriage failed. And they were quick to say, no, we had a very successful marriage. It is part of the greatest times of our lives. We have these beautiful children. We're intertwined in each other's lives. And I think that in New England.
But it's now. It's the exit. It's what does a legend deserve at the end? I don't know.
It just ran its course, didn't it? Like, I think he's positioned well to be successful outside of there. Probably will be. He's a great coach.
Yes.
I think it's time for a fresh start. He's been there for, 25 years? It's a really long time to be doing anything.
But, Mike, the problem is when they got divorced, Brady won a Super Bowl. And so people look at it a little bit differently. But Belichick, if I'm Belichick, Dan, I would wait around and see which jobs are going to come open, because there might be some great jobs that become open. Yeah. Jerry Jones said he is taking this game by game with Mike McCarthy.
Jake Glazer told us that the market for Bill Belichick isn't necessarily what you're imagining it might be.
He reported yesterday as well that it is over in New England for Belichick. Glazer did. You just use unmitigated with success. I've never heard it used with success. I've only
always an unmitigated disaster.
I've only heard it used with disaster. But, Stugotz, when you say it's that simple, Tom Brady, you have Tom Brady, you win, it wasn't that long ago that McVay was the toast of the sport, and Belichick held him and Goff to 3 points in a Super Bowl where Brady only scored 13 points in that Super Bowl. So you say it's that simple, that if you have a great quarterback, but in that game, his quarterback was not great.
Right.
And Belichick won the Super Bowl by being able to contain Sean McVay, who couldn't do anything when he didn't have Todd Gurley.
I'm not saying, I don't think Mike is saying that he's not a good coach or a great coach. He is, Dan. All things being equal, I would want that guy to be Mike.
Factor. It wasn't that long ago that Mac Jones was doing the gritty into the end zone at a Pro Bowl. I know that the Pro Bowl is mitigated, but I mean, it's just you can't be winning with Bailey Zappi. Everyone knows what happened there. He made some bad hires.
All right, guys, go ahead and put on the screen the ring camera of Belichick.
Need the audio.
Leaving the Patriots facility for the final time.
Dan Le Batard. All these high-paid analysts, I don't want to mention names, TNT, ESPN, oh yeah, they are dead. They cannot. They're not going to make it. Even if they win if they lose in Miami.
I need to calm you down.
That's right. If they lose in Miami, they don't got a chance in Boston. Or they are going to have their ass, in Boston. Stugotz. They were wrong. Are they going to lose their job? No. Are they going to get a cut in pay? No. What are they going to do? Keep predicting what is the obvious. They are going to say, the Nuggets are going to win. Denver, the altitude. And you know what? The Heat are going to win it all. This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Taylor told me a story when I came in today about an embarrassment that he had that he called his greatest embarrassment as a human being, in which he accidentally texted University of North Carolina basketball coach Roy Williams an assortment of replacements that he thought should replace Roy Williams when he retired, because he should retire. He didn't mean to send that directly to Roy Williams.
He also didn't mean for that story to make air.
Yep.
He mentioned that.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
On the front end.
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear that part.
How convenient.
I didn't hear it.
Leaky Faucetard.
He has Roy's number, huh?
Can you guys help him?
Did Roy respond?
Can you guys help?
We tried.
him?
We said, don't look at Dan in the eyes, don't talk to him. And he broke that rule, so he had it coming.
I thought of it, though, because something like that happened to me yesterday. I have in my phone Stephanie from a Mexican restaurant. And so I ended
Where is this going?
I ended up ordering tacos, a fajita, and margaritas from Stephen A.
Did he respond?
You have it like that, huh? You just text a person and you get food from a restaurant?
Stephanie, a Mexican restaurant.
It actually says Stephanie and then parenthetically Mexican. That's
Great catch.
There's no A. It was the order in my phone.
So you just have someone named Stephanie on call whenever you want to order Mexican food.
That's right.
Okay.
I mean, it happened to me. I've told you this story before, but Abby told me to get a foot massage, and I finally did. And I'm sitting in the chair getting said foot massage, and I texted to her. Well, I thought it was her. This is better than sex. I sent it to Alden Smith.
It is. It's a great story.
Foot.
Jessica has completed her top 5 list of teams that she wrote off in the middle of the season, and Stugotz believes he has your list. Is this in order, Stugotz? Do you have yours ranked in the same order that you think that Jessica's will be in?
I didn't go order. I just put down the 5 teams I think will be on this list. Okay. Would you like me to put them in order?
Well, yes, put them in order, and we'll get to them in a second. But in the interim, I will filibuster for you by showing a viral video from this weekend that I cannot explain of a small person being stuck in what appears to be a vase, a hotel vase of some sort, but it's not a little person. It's just someone who's not that big in a sizable vase that's not an urn, right? That's a hotel vase, and there's a cacophony. God damn it! This is so humiliating.
What?
I don't know how he got stuck in.
Took my belt off and didn't do shit.
Alabama fans taking the Rose Bowl loss pretty hard.
Look, you can do it. You really can. You really can.
You can do it. You really can.
It's humiliating enough.
These are
to just get stuck in a vase or an urn. It's all the more humiliating when you're surrounded by people who are having drinks and talking too loudly because they're having drinks and you're stuck and you can't wriggle your way out of the hotel vase.
What did we throw the takeout? I am doing everything I fucking can!
The sweater's what's in the way.
I'm with him. You got to just dump this thing upside down. I'm with this old guy. He's like, we got to get this thing upside down.
Right.
He is furious, and
he shouldn't be furious. Why is he yelling at people trying to help him?
He's embarrassed.
That is a small space for like that. Looks like a lot of leg going on in there.
What is the backstory on how he got stuck in there?
He was drinking.
Okay.
Genuinely, I don't know. I saw this on Twitter yesterday, and there was one video where there's a woman who goes, his knees are stuck at the bottom or something like that.
Yeah.
It seems I've gotten stuck in the seatbelt before. It's very scary being stuck in something where you think someone's going to have to rescue you with scissors or like a hammer or a knife, machete you out.
Stuck in seatbelt?
Yeah, like you get like twisted up in a seatbelt and then you can't get out. And then it like, you know how the seatbelt constricts?
It won't detach, right?
Yeah. And you can't pull out more slack. Yeah, that's happened to me a few times.
I was at Legoland and I got stuck in the roller, like one of these little crappy kid roller coasters. Like afterwards, mine was like the things pop up and you get off, and mine didn't pop up, and it like caused like a 10 or 15 minute delay where they had to close down the ride, and it felt like a fat thing. And I'm just like, and I like even asked the guy, I'm like, is this a fat thing? Like, does this like, and he's like, no, this is just a random, and I'm like trying to like, it was one of those things where everyone's like looking, like, why is it stopped? There's a guy, and it was just so embarrassing, and it had nothing to do with anything I did. And I was just like looking around like, this isn't a fat thing. It just got stuck. It's random.
It is insecurities on display. That's why he was so rabidly angry, is because, look, really, all of you are just going to mock the fact that I can't get out of a vase. And he's thinking to himself, surely this is going to go viral. Somebody's going to take my shame here and send it to everyone. I can't believe that happened to PTI producer Matt Kelleher.
But if I'm trying to help you and you're yelling at me, I'm leaving you in the vase.
You're going to stop
Don't yell at me when I'm trying to help you.
I'm kind of with him on that.
Thank you.
We got
a vase person
Matt
now.
Sullivan, find that guy. Let's get him on.
That is a good
I hope he's still
request.
in the vase.
I do too. He was so rude to everyone. They're just trying to help him.
Right.
Apparently they had to chisel him out. I read. I don't know I genuinely have tried to find actual reporting on this. It's, as you can imagine, very difficult to
It
find.
would be funny if the crowd got fed up with him and like, all right, you're upset, we're leaving you. And then he's just like, guys, come back.
No, even worse, I would stand him up so he can't even roll.
He tries to roll away.
There you go, buddy. Enjoy the nuptials.
Was that a wedding? I couldn't tell.
It looked like it.
I still do want to know, though. I understand your quick explanation is the correct one. Drinking was involved. But what was the thinking process of, like, what was the wacky thing that was going to be done successfully?
Maybe you want to scare someone, I'll hop in and get low and then pop out. And then
Cam, you should do that thing that you did a couple of years ago. It'd be great.
What if he was a genie?
And he got stuck halfway?
Yeah.
And
the world's crappiest genie.
Yeah.
Before he was able, yes, thank you to the crack crew who has put now Matt Kelleher on the screen so that people could see how hugely embarrassed he should be by having gotten stuck in that vase. Are you ready, Jessica, to do your top 5?
Should we do Stugotz's top 5 first, and then or should we do them like side by side?
I don't know, because I think they're all going to be the same, and I just think they're going to be in a different order.
There's only a handful of teams.
Pretty good. My list is pretty good.
Yeah, but so is his, and I don't. We'll see. I guess we'll find out together. You go. Well, I don't think I can say who he has at 5 if it's not the same that you have as 5.
She has to give her 5, then you give what I wrote down.
Should we give it at the 1, 2, 3? And
let's just do it your way. Yeah, let's do it.
When she does it, say if it's on Stu's list.
Okay.
Steve Martin. Number 5, the Ravens.
not anywhere.
Wow.
Not anywhere on Stu's list.
You wrote off the Ravens?
Well, in week 5, they lost to the Steelers. They actually lost both games against the Steelers this year. In that game, I think the final was 17-10. None of the receivers could catch a pass. It was a brutal game to watch. So I said, writing off the Ravens for the rest of the season.
Okay.
I think this is gonna be the theme, right? Anyone who loses to the Steelers, it's I'm sorry, I ruined it. I'm sorry.
Came out of the gate strong.
Can I
with the
revise
Ravens.
mine?
Well, what if the Steelers are on the list?
Number 4.
The Packers.
That's his number 4.
At number 4.
Nice. All right. Well, they were 2-5 at one point, and then they had a 4-game losing streak. They also lost to the Steelers in week 9.
This is incredible. 40 years I've been a Jet fan waiting for a good quarterback. The Packers are about to have their 3rd consecutive decade of having a good quarterback. Jordan Love's really good.
That's correct.
Jesus.
I don't know if he's as good as the
Is he
other
really
two.
good or just good?
He had 32 touchdowns and 11 interceptions.
I think he's just good.
Well, either way, he's probably on the path to opening up his own freedom pack, given how the previous 2 went.
They have a very good offensive line too, which helps. Number 3.
Number 3, the Rams.
That's his number 3.
Wow! Oh my gosh! All right, well we're 2 for 3 right now, Stu. The Rams, they were on also a 3-game losing streak this season, and they actually lost in Week 7 to the Steelers. Thought they were done.
Mike, are you excited? Rams, Lions?
I'm excited.
That's a great one.
That's a great one.
I thought you were going to ask me if I was excited for something else, in which I'm not. Not at all.
What if Stafford wins the first Lions postseason game in 30 years?
His first game in Detroit, right? Playoff game.
You thought he was going to ask you if you're excited about the Browns.
Are they in?
Number 2.
Number 2, the Buccaneers. Big quarterback issue in the preseason. They actually lost to the Steelers preseason week 1. It was a Kyle Trask, Baker Mayfield off. So the Bucs, I wrote them off.
And number 1?
The Steelers. They lost in week 1, 30-7 to the 49ers. I wrote them off. They've had 3 different quarterbacks this season. TJ Watt is now probably not going to play. I don't really know what his status is, but he hurt his knee against the Ravens on Saturday. But Mike Tomlin, 10 wins. 10-win season for the Steelers. They're in the playoffs as a 7 seed.
Stugotz also had the Texans number 2 and the Bucs number 1.
They beat the Steelers.
Yeah. The Texans.
The Texans.
Yes. Which is why you
so
did
not
not
on
write
my
them
list.
off, right?
But the Bucs, he had the Bucs number 1. He did not have the Steelers, but I think most of us wrote the Steelers off, and now most of us expect nothing from the Steelers in the playoffs.
Pretty cool story, though, with Baker Mayfield, right?
Yes.
With the Bucs?
Yes.
Like a great story.
He has reinvented himself there after Cleveland chewed him up, and the physical.
And he found a crappy division. I mean, what are we talking about?
Yeah, he did. He's coming off of putting up 3 field goals in Carolina. But I'm
On
the
a
biggest
bum
Baker.
ankle.
He's
I mean,
hurt and
he
bum
was tough.
ribs, apparently.
Yeah.
He's always hurt. He's one of the toughest quarterbacks.
You have bum ribs?
I just don't like the narrative, though, like that yesterday, Todd Bowles gets to be in that locker room like he's a king. And you just play in a crappy division. And then guys like the Dolphins, the Eagles with better records are feeling like
Won the crappy division.
I'm just saying, it's
A lot of
not
teams
fair.
lose in crappy.
Mike's with me. Give me one division, 15 teams on each side.
It's a really
Let's
bad
go
division.
Europe with this.
That division's as bad as the AFC North is good, but I think in this run, if you look at the type of football that the Packers have played lately, the performance that Tampa had in Green Bay propelled them to this position, to hosting
and
a
that was a
playoff
game they scored 34 points in, correct? And Baker Mayfield has had some extraordinary games this season. And Stugotz, I really don't think that we cover nearly well enough how hard it must be to play that particular game and position if physically your body is something less than 100%.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence, that was not professional quarterback play in a game that I expected a quarterback who's a number 1 pick overall to win that football game against a Tennessee team that didn't have anything to play for but their beloved Vrabel.
I mean, that's what the Titans do, Dan.
But Trevor Lawrence clearly isn't physically right. Like, what's the last 6 weeks of the season? We can have a conversation about whether Trevor Lawrence is as good as he should be or not.
He's not.
But this incarnation, the last 6 weeks of Trevor Lawrence trying to get on the field through an assortment of stuff while other quarterbacks simply can't get on the field. Baker Mayfield's willingness to play all of the football games and be available is enough in that division to win the division.
On the other side of the injury argument, though, you got Tyreek Hill, who's had a bad ankle injury, quote unquote, for weeks, did a backflip after his touchdown last night. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, painkillers can do crazy things.
That is correct, but I would say the positions are different on how it is,
And it's cyclical because that offensive line for Jacksonville was so bad. It's a reason that he got hurt, and it's a reason why he had trouble getting healthy as the season progressed, just along the offensive and defensive line. And keep in mind, they have a former number 1 overall pick in Trayvon Walker on that defensive line. They screwed the pooch. And it makes it so that you can't even make a proper evaluation on the type of quarterback Trevor Lawrence can be. Is he the guy that we saw at the end of last year, or is he this guy now?
But that's what happened to Mayfield in Cleveland.
Yes.
You stopped with the evaluating, but his body was breaking.
Treat yourself to a little something organic. Cora's whisper-thin yet mighty absorbent pads have a breathable 100% organic cotton top sheet and are made without fragrance, dyes, and chlorine. Because your vulva's not a hot tub. With patented smart channels for up to 8 hours of leak protection, Cora's got you covered however you flow. Plus, Cora donates period products to people in need with every purchase. Find Cora at Target, CVS, and online at cora.life and save 15% now with Target Circle.